Here's Mike.
So President Trump announces sweeping global tariffs and cue the America haters to cheer for America's utter collapse. Never seen anything like it. I'm so intrigued and riveted by all those lining up, excitedly hoping that the economy tanks, rooting against farmers, factory workers, waiters, waitresses, ordinary, hardworking, tax-paying, God-fearing people. And because of the hatred of Donald Trump, they want it all to fail. There's not even a sliver of cautious optimism in any of the media coverage. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. The president wants to put America first, and they hate that. My producer has a theory. It's because they hate America. And I don't want to go there, but I'm starting to think she's right. Why would you want this economic agenda to fail? You may be worried about it. Look, but at the very least, you'd say it's either going to be a huge success or a disaster. But they're not even giving out any hope that it can be a success. It's crazy to see how quickly people who despise Trump exhibit their anti-American persona. It's the only way to put it. There's no other way to put it. Trump is a guy who's been raising the alarms about unfair trade practices for decades. You doubt that? You don't believe me? Let me take you to 1988, when a young Donald J. Trump was a guest of Oprah Winfrey.
Last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
That was 35 years ago. That was 1988. 1988. Isn't that wild? Now, fast forward 35 years ahead. Let's look at yesterday, April 2nd, 2025. A little bit older Donald Trump.
We're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay, and then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first, and I'm sorry to say that.
I have a question for anyone in this audience who doesn't like Donald Trump. Maybe you didn't vote for him. Maybe you're disappointed in him. Maybe you don't like his personality. Whatever your reason is, there's plenty of room for, debate and disagreement in America. It's who we are. I got to ask you a direct question. Don't you think he wants this economy to prosper? Even if you hate him, do you actually think he's setting out to tank the American economy? This is how delusional people get. This is what Trump hatred does to people. My friend Mark Davis says it often. It makes nice people mean, and it takes smart people and makes them dumb. He's been talking about this for decades. Unfair trade. Why in the world does a country get to punish us with their tariffs, and we're supposed to say, thank you, sir, may I have another? Let's get building again. Let's open up factories again in Ohio and Indiana and Michigan. Let's build American cars. What's wrong with this? And even if you don't like him, don't you want America to succeed? Do you remember when Rush Limbaugh got into a world of hurt years ago? It came up that somehow he said something about the American agenda. If the American agenda succeeds under Barack Obama, that would be bad. I want it to fail because I want Obama to fail. Oh, they went crazy. He's a monster. Look at that. He's rooting against America. Well, what do you think virtually the entire universe that hates Trump is doing right now over tariffs? They're rooting for America to fail. They want America to fall flat on its face so they can say, aha, Trump was a bad president. He's a bad guy. And shame on every single one of them. Shame on the networks, the legacy media, the Democrats. Why can't you say, look, I don't like the guy. I didn't vote for him, but I'm pulling for the American farmer. I sure want a guy in a factory in Alabama to succeed. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. And Tracy's theory, my producer, it's because they don't like America. They hate the country. Now, it seems a little extreme, but what else can explain it? What else explains bellowing about how awful Trump's tariffs are? Reciprocal tariffs, putting America first. That's awful? That's terrible? That's maniacal? Are you kidding me? Let's put your voice front and center. Thursday, we're a little fired up today, April 3rd. Great to have you along for the ride. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Hope you join us. A lot of really insightful text messages coming in on the MyPillow text line from Ohio. Trump is not the only one who's known about this for decades. See Milton Friedman, for goodness sakes. We just have had the poorest type of leadership, a pack of fools and grifters running this great nation into the ground for their own selfish, petty, tyrannical benefit. Georgia, Mike, it's disgusting to see how giddy the media sounds over Trump's tariffs. I just heard ABC talk about how prices could rise as much as $7,000 per household. That's why the stock market's tanking today, all based off fear initiated by the mainstream media. And finally, North Carolina, Gary, Mike, those who support globalism want the U.S. brought down to the level of other countries in the world. Make the U.S. consumer pay to raise up other countries. It's an absolute disgrace to see the way Trump haters are rooting against America. It gets back to what I said all through both campaigns, 2016 and 2020. They don't hate Trump. They hate us. They hate Americans. They want Americans to fail. We should be punished for having an ideological or political view that they don't agree with. Jacob has been hanging patiently in Michigan. Hey, Jacob, thanks for hanging in there with us. Why do you think, hey, how are you? Why do you think so many people are rooting against America, not just Trump?
Besides the globalism, I think they've drank the Kool-Aid the Democrats were selling, and now it's become a core belief. To deny that belief, they have to admit they were fools that believed the Democrats' lies. And who wants to believe they're a fool? That undermines their credibility in the future and is humiliating also.
It's a great observation because, we could say they drank the Kool-Aid about Trump. He's going to be studied by historians for the rest of time. I mean, there's never been a political figure like him in the history of America. And people are going to study his personality, everything that goes with it. Okay, so I can accept they drank the Kool-Aid. They accept he's Adolf Hitler. And they're goofy and they're wrong, but okay, so be it. But why did they then transfer that to you and me? Why can't they leave it at Trump? I think
it's because of that core belief. It has become a core belief, and if you look at core beliefs for people, it's something you're raised with. It's something that you believe in, and so at that point, you can't deny that core belief. It'd be no more different than a Christian denying they were a Christian, or a Muslim denying they were a Muslim. Those are core beliefs. These have become these people's core beliefs.
It's become a part of who they are. It's their existence.
Right.
It's
Correct.
and they have to do something that nobody likes to do, admit they were wrong.
Correct.
Yeah,
and that's what drives the majority. I see them out doing the old, picketing and stuff and protesting against Musk. Why would they protest against a guy like that when he's done so much for our country, when he's actually was the main guy for the Democrats for their new green scam?
Everybody
gets an electric car.
It's right. Everybody save the planet, and we're all going to be in good shape. What's funny, Jacob, and you made me think about the way they've turned on Elon Musk and Donald Trump. They used to love these guys. They loved these guys. There's Oprah 35 years ago, 1988, fawning all over him. I mean, he was a coveted guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1988. I remember seeing a Comedy Central roast that was from years ago, and they were roasting Trump, and the whole room said he ought to run for president. They were cheering for him. White, black, entertainers, they were all, oh my gosh, he'd be the greatest guy in the world. Elon Musk. You're right, he was saving the planet. Look at what he's done. SpaceX and Tesla and electric cars. And then he joined the Trump team. Now he's the boogeyman.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
That's all it is. It was worth waiting for you, Jacob. Thank you for your your patience and hanging in there with us. I know we held you over, but Tracy said you had some great points. It really is true. It's just a fundamental human condition. Can't admit you're wrong, and you don't want the guy to succeed in any way, shape, or form. I mean, do you remember when they were mad at Limbaugh for saying that I hope the Obama agenda fails because then America fails? Don't you want America to succeed, even if you hate Donald Trump? Here's Peter Navarro, guy who, you talk about a neck-snapping journey. One too long ago, they were hauling him out of wasn't he the one that they went and locked up? Now, of course, appearing on television on behalf of President Trump, playing a key role, it seems, in the Trump administration. Here's what he said yesterday on Fox News.
Liberation Day, let us celebrate that.
All right. Well, CNBC says it's a bloodbath tomorrow. They don't know how long this process is going to take. Paul Krugman just said you've lost your mind.
All right, let me unravel some of this stuff. I mean, first of all, the media and the economists and everybody in between have been absolutely wrong about trade, going back to the days they said NAFTA was going to be great for America. It destroyed our manufacturing base and led to mass illegal immigration. They said China getting into the WTO was going to be great. We lost 5 million manufacturing jobs in 100,000 factories. And during the first term, Jesse, and this, I'm burying the lead, like you remember this, every one of those people from Krugman on down said that the Trump tariffs in the first term on China, on steel and aluminum, on solar, on dishwashers, and go on down. What'd they say? They said, oh, recession, oh, inflation. What do we have? Price stability, economic prosperity. And for me, the most gratifying thing being in that White House was real wages increasing for workers in blue-collar America and the middle class. And that was the greatest achievement of the Trump administration, besides everything else he did.
It's there's a fundamental belief that the joke is if Trump managed to walk on water, they'd say he's too stupid to swim, to learn how to swim. If he cured cancer, everything he does is, and look, it's politics, tribalism. Maybe we're guilty of that to some extent too. I remember when I gave Obama some credit for killing Osama bin Laden, and some of you came after me saying, "Oh, how dare you give him any credit?" We all tend to forget to give credit where credit is due. At the end of the day, we got to do better. 800-655-MIKE.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.